So looking at Bitcoin to tell us the overall health of the rest of the cryptocurrency market, we have this macro patterns that we've been following. One of them, if you've been here before, when Bitcoin breaks out an all-time high, it goes through a correction, all right, and it has to fight through that corrective area to determine what. Yes, we're in a bull market, right? Now, when it does break through its previous all-time high, you probably have about, I don't know, 8 to 12 months where you're going to find the top of the market. All in all, when it does break out, we have tremendous parabolic movement, but then what? It has to correct down. When it corrects down, it does not correct down below its previous all-time high. Okay, we've been talking about this now for almost 2 years or 3 years actually between before I was doing these lives and during these lives. Breakout, correction, back to all-time high, breakout, come back, don't go below that previous all-time high. All right, correct, test all-time high, breakout, come back. And this was the most scariest back test of all time high. Tremendously volatile area where this rule was in jeopardy of being broken. But when you follow patterns, you look for your markers. And at 15,000 area, Bitcoin showed great support with a massive candle that engulfed the previous low candle here. And so back in 2022, okay, if you were following the charts, you were not necessarily bearish. You were looking for support, okay, of that previous all-time high, which happened in 2017, which had the breakout. So what are we looking at now? Well, if you're following those same rules, what could we possibly be expecting? Well, we need to go back and test the previous all-time high, right? Because you had your correction. This was the previous all-time high here in 2019. Okay, we did the back test. Now we need to go test the most recent all-time high, which is 2021. All right, we have correction. Okay, from the correction, we have this little gear up back to try to test the all-time high. Over here, this wick has it at 69,000. Once you test the all-time high, you're going to have some sort of corrective area. I don't know how long it lasts for. And that corrective area can even create some of these lows here back down to 54. But then you have a parabolic breakout. All right. You have a parabolic breakout. And so the current stage that we're in right now, what is the question in the current stage that we're in? Are we in the phase where, similar to 2019, we had a test of that all-time high and we had to go into another mini bear market? This is COVID-19. Is that where we are? Right. And if that's where we are, it'll come as a massive surprise to the markets. It'll come as a massive surprise to the markets. But overall, when you look at a macro picture, even if that's what happens, are we still bullish? Yes, we are still, in my opinion, extremely bullish. Why are we extremely bullish? I think we're extremely bullish because this 200-week moving average on the monthly, okay, has come and now created a different angle. You don't need to be a chart analyst to see this change of trajectory from the 200-week moving average on the monthly chart. Okay, you don't need to be a chart analyst. Simply, can you read color and can you read angle? And the case is that we finally got that turnaround. So why, when we had this deviation and correction here, were we still bullish? We were still bullish because we had an opportunity to still have the 200-week moving average bounce off of this $25,000 area. All right. Now, even though we're macro bullish, we could even have a situation, because we've ran up, where we are at the top of this Bollinger. We've spoken now for about 5 to 6 weeks that yes, we projected a 157-day run for Bitcoin to create some bullish action at the top of this yellow zone. This yellow zone being the F around and find out area. Why is this an F around and find out area? Well, in the previous historical run, Okay, where Bitcoin made an all-time high in 2021, this was a very convoluted area. Okay, and so when you're making this bullish run back up, when you get to the top of this convoluted area, you best believe if you F around and are just buying into that zone, you're gonna find out. And so, in the macro sense, yes, we're bullish. Yes, we have a cooling off that needs to happen. Yes, this cooling off can be as simple as running into this F around and find out zone and just kind of floating here and floating here until it finds a way out. And if it finds a way out, that's a more bullish indicator. If it finds a way out and finds a way to even come back at 46K, test this way out on the macro sense, that is bullish. But these are monthly candles, and this needs time to play out. As from the lows, Bitcoin ran as high as a 220% run. Okay, so if we're talking macro, we have a bullish sentiment ahead of us. Uh, we expect Bitcoin, however long it takes, to come back and test this all-time high area. But we do have this 69,000 area, we have this 92,000 area, and we have this $216,000 area. All in all, from where we started looking at the bigger macro picture, that's only a 445% run for Bitcoin from the $39,000 area where we decided that, hey, let's start tracking the bigger picture for Bitcoin, right? The previous bull run, we went to a $3 trillion market cap. We tend to 3x market caps in bull runs. And so Bitcoin could easily 3x from that $69,000 area that we have, but we are testing certain areas. And so we've been looking at some sluggish correctional type areas. We were saying that because of the weekly candle here for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is currently doing that consolidation, slugging around this weekly chart here. This mid Bollinger on the weekly, which represents a 200-week moving average on the weekly chart. We said we want to see this mid Bollinger make its way into this F around and find out zone and find a way to show us some support from that weekly mid Bollinger as the stochastic is momentum wise trending down, and the stochastic needs to find a way to curve its way here. And really and truly, this could take another 2 to 4 to 6 weeks to play out. So we're bullish, but we're in F around and find out zone. We're still in this corrective period here. And so what you're going to see is Bitcoin dominance, and you're going to see periods and times where when Bitcoin needs to go through its healthy corrective periods, you see the altcoins correct a little bit more. So, we have Kaio Shai Chen saying 260K. That's effing bullish. I mean, we're going to start talking about the macro picture for future prices of Bitcoin, not only in our future streams, but as we see this monthly chart play out, right? And so yeah, we've looked at macro. When we look at micro, Bitcoin just needs to work its way here through this consolidation area. And for me, really and truly, as long as it continues to stay in this yellow zone, in this F around and find out zone, I'm chilling. I ain't got a problem. If you're going to give me more time to try to not be poor and accumulate some of these things that I need to accumulate while looking for generational wealth, long-term, right? Healthy long-term generational wealth. Yeah, you'll have cycles where things will pop, but okay, I'm not really about the short-term stuff. This is a macro channel. We're looking at macro patterns that are going to allow us to escape from the fiat machine, right? So looking at the F around and find out zone in a smaller time frame, we do have the mid Bollinger here trying to find support on 41. You can't really, when you get closer time frames, you can't really be as accurate. But hey, what is the trade room possibly seeing happening? I'm seeing a possible retest, okay, depending on what happens in the stock market and the equities market, I'm seeing probably a little deviation back to test this 41. We could come back to test this 40 region, but honestly, I'm looking for an exit, a retest of this $46,000 area, bring bullish momentum back into the markets. Even if you want to slide around, come back again and retest this 41. I'm looking to find some sort of support at this $46,000 region so we can exit out of here. Now, even with this little chicken scratch that I have drawn here, it brings us to May of 2024. Really interesting, right? If we're consolidating and we need to find a way to exit out of this F around and find out zone, it brings us a month after the Bitcoin halvening. The Bitcoin halvening is happening in April, and it doesn't mean bullishness as soon as the Bitcoin halving happens, because you're going to have a lot of anticipation that goes into it. It may take the latter part of 2024, for us to then see the finishing touches, right? 2024 going into 2025, for us to see the finishing touches and the push into higher price regions. But all in all, even this little dip here, right? This little dip here will affect the altcoins, especially if the stock market and the equities market goes through a correction. But on a smaller time frame, this is what we could be looking at. And that's going to allow this weekly chart here, right? It's going to allow this weekly chart here to kind of play out, work its way through. But all in all, when you talk about the macro picture, what is needed for us to continue to follow these metrics here for parabolic price action. Thank you. For parabolic price action, this is what we're looking at, a bullish 200-week moving average. Now, we're going to shift right over to Joule.